Hello, I'm Tom Watts with the BBC News. Exit polls in Israel's fourth general election in less than 2 years suggest that the Likud party, led by the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, could win the most seats, but without winning a parliamentary majority. Mr. Netanyahu said the vote was a huge win for the right wing and for Likud. Tom Bateman reports.
Israeli politics is split between parties prepared to back Mr. Netanyahu and those who want to oust him. The exit polls suggest, once again, neither side has a clear route to victory. The bloc that backs the Prime Minister is on around 53 seats, short of the 60-plus needed for a majority, while the polls put his opponent on 59. It means a far-right party led by a former Netanyahu loyalist, Naftali Bennett, could act as kingmaker. It has around 7 seats and hasn't explicitly declared which side it will support.
President Biden has urged US Congress not to wait another minute to bring in a ban on assault rifles and tighten checks on gun owners. He said he'd been devastated by another killing spree in Boulder in Colorado on Monday, when a gunman shot dead 10 people at a supermarket. Mr. Biden said common sense steps were needed to save lives.
The United States Senate, I hope some are listening, should immediately pass the 2 House-passed bills that close loopholes in the background check system. These are bills that receive votes of both Republicans and Democrats in the House. This is not and should not be a partisan issue. This is an American issue. It will save lives, American lives, and we have to act.
Police in Colorado have charged a 21-year-old man with 10 counts of murder. They said his motive was not yet clear. The Pentagon says it has received a request from the government's Health and Human Services Department to house unaccompanied child migrants at 2 military facilities in Texas. A Pentagon spokesman didn't specify the number of children the Defense Department had been asked to provide accommodation for. A doctors' union in Kenya says the country has run out of beds in its intensive care units due to a surge in COVID-19 cases. Our Africa editor Will Ross has this report.
Kenya's Medical Practitioners Union says the country's at a tipping point with no more intensive care beds available. It also says there's a general laxity when it comes to following guidelines aimed at stopping the spread of the coronavirus. As usual, those with enough money are more likely to get help. Some hospitals ask for thousands of dollars up front before they'll allow a patient in through the door. There are relatively low levels of testing, so the official statistics don't tell the whole story. But with clear warning signs that Kenya's entire health system is in danger of becoming overwhelmed, the country urgently needs to get more vaccines.
World News from the BBC. Brazil's Supreme Court has ruled in favour of the former president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who accused the anti-corruption judge who sentenced him of acting with partiality and political bias. By 3 votes to 2, the court concluded that Judge Sergio Moro had violated Lula's rights on several occasions, including secretly recording his conversations. US officials have confirmed to reporters that North Korea fired 2 short-range missiles last weekend. There's been no word about the test from either Pyongyang or Seoul, and the Pentagon in Washington had said nothing officially. This would be the first missile test by North Korea since President Biden took over the White House in January. Last week, Pyongyang condemned Washington for going ahead with a scheduled military exercise with South Korea. The human rights group Amnesty International has accused Lebanese security forces of torturing detained Syrian refugees. There's no word from the Lebanese authorities. Here's Emily Haller.
A new report from Amnesty International alleges that in the last 7 years, 25 Syrians it documented were subjected to extreme torture, including beatings with makeshift weapons and being strung upside down. Some of the refugees were children. They'd all been imprisoned on terrorism-related charges, many of which Amnesty says were unjustified. Since the start of Syria's civil war, about 1.5 million Syrian refugees have fled to neighbouring Lebanon, most of them living in extreme poverty. There have been tensions over their presence, partly due to the deep economic crisis in Lebanon.
A giant container ship has blocked maritime traffic in the Suez Canal when it ran aground in the canal north of the port of Suez. The incident happened early on Tuesday morning and tugs have attempted to refloat the vessel. The Ever Given, registered in Panama, was en route from China to Rotterdam on its way to the Mediterranean. BBC News.